Hey, Chamber members, Alan Waters here, your Director of Marketing and Communication at the Montgomery County Chamber of Commerce and your Words of Wisdom podcast. Today I'm joined by...
I'm Paige Guynn, the Director of Blacksburg Ballet.
And it's funny because the last time you were on an episode, it was for Dance Tech, and your name was Paige Godwin.
Yes, I think so.
Full-on changes, shifts. So I've asked you this before, but you're here with a different company. So yes. I'm going to ask it again with the focus being on Blacksburg Ballet. What does success mean to you?
Ooh, okay. This is always tough for me. I don't know why. I find it challenging. For Blacksburg Ballet, with that lens, success is bringing people together, offering opportunities that maybe weren't accessible before, or opening people's eyes to something they didn't know existed, being a safe, welcoming place for people to kind of explore the arts and maybe find a joy for it. Especially in this area, I feel like it's not the biggest thing in the community. There are lots of other amazing things that children, adults are into, but not huge arts communities. So anytime we can bring it to the forefront and just show how much it benefits people emotionally, mentally, physically, being able to share that is a success. And
how does that differ with what you do with Dance Tech versus Blacksburg Ballet? Because I know that really they're two sides of the same coin, but that doesn't mean that there aren't differences and different approaches.
Yes. Okay, so I guess the first major difference is Dance Tech is a training facility where we offer classes weekly. Blacksburg Ballet is what I would call a performance company where our major focus is outreach and performing. So that's the biggest difference is, of course, we do learn things through Blacksburg Ballet, but it's not that like rigorous weekly training.
Right.
The other part of Blacksburg Ballet is you can be a part of it for as long or as short as you want. Typically, it's for a show.
Yeah.
Hopefully, people don't just pop up in the middle or drop before we make it to the stage. But so it can be just one season. It can be 20 seasons. And you don't have to have any experience whatsoever, like zero. You just have to have a willingness to try.
I like it. I'm not going to do it because look, I'm not getting on anything in dancing. There's like a certain part of me that I'm a performer in past. I don't mind being in front of people. I don't mind performing. I mind dancing. I don't know why.
You're a mover, not a dancer.
I'm a mover. Yep,
okay.
Exactly. I'm a mover. I'll go from point A to point B, but it's going to be a straight line. That's line dancing, right?
Yes, I guess. I think more formations than a straight line, but yes,
probably.
Essentially.
So I know Blacksburg Ballet, you've got the Nutcracker. Is that the biggest, or is there more to performances with Blacksburg Ballet, or is it really all kind of focused around Nutcracker?
I would say it's focused around Nutcracker, but it's not just the like one weekend of productions. Right. One of my favorite things that we started doing in the past few years are more outreach performances. So we'll go places like assisted living facilities, daycares, bring some usually kiddos. They're more of a hit than the adults. Sorry, everyone, but they're just cuter. We'll go perform. We'll do some Q&A and chat with people that have never heard of the Nutcracker, have never seen the Nutcracker. And then sometimes it'll really surprise you because like last year we were performing at Warm Hearth and one of the gentlemen that lives there was telling us about how he was a professional ballet dancer in his youth. And we were just like, oh, what do you know?
Yeah,
very
know.
Cool connection.
And so this is it based on the name, it's Blacksburg Ballet. Do you only do these things in Blacksburg or is it beyond?
Beyond.
Blacksburg Ballet and beyond.
And beyond. Yeah. Right. We need that in parentheses. So I guess I should say, yes, Nutcracker is our main show that we do. We have performed it primarily on Virginia Tech's campus. It started at Burris Hall, which is just like quintessential Christmas, something about it, just like when you walk up and all the kids are all dressed in their little fancy outfits. It's very cute. We've also performed the Nutcracker at Radford University in their theater over there. Now we're at the Moss Art Center. Some of the other places that we perform are like out at Mountain Lake Lodge and things like that. So I would say it's more NRV. Like when we don't have a tagline or anything like that, but when I'm speaking about our winter, I always just say it's a holiday tradition in the NRV because it's more than just
there.
Blacksburg.
Well, now you've got a tagline. It's just and beyond.
And beyond. Dun, da, da, da.
So, with everything with the Nutcracker, one, tell people about that this year and what's coming up so they can know this is in the year 2024 for anyone listening ever.
People will be listening way in the future.
Exactly. In the year 3024, they'll listen back. But in the year 2024, tell people about Nutcracker, where they can find information, all that.
Sure. So tickets are already on sale through the Moss Art Center. So you can like go to the actual box office, of course, but it's tickets.artcenter.vt.edu.
All right.
That's a long one. But can you tell I've rattled this off a few times?
A couple times.
These shows are full-length production. We have 2 shows on Saturday, December 14th at 1 p.m. and 6 p.m. They are about 2 hours long. We also do field trip shows. Those are on Friday, December 13th. There's a 10 a.m. show and a 12:30 p.m. show. 10 a.m. show is already sold out. And I guess I shouldn't say sold out. All of the reservations have been filled. So that was one of the things I'm really excited about this season is through very, very generous business sponsorships, we've been able to make that field trip free for the patrons this year instead of charging. So it's really opened up a lot of some of the lower income schools in our area to be able to come to it and not have to watch their peers that go somewhere else hop on the bus and go. So I'm really excited about that. We do still have some spots in the 12:30 show though, if anybody's interested.
And what would you say is the biggest difference between the field trip shows versus the shows happening on Saturday?
Okay. 1, free versus cost money. 2, 50 minutes instead of 2 hours.
Okay.
And I'll reveal this about myself. I hated ballet when I was a child, like with a fiery passion. It was not for me. I developed my love in 8th grade. Now I adore it, but I am well aware that not everyone does. So the field trip version, we kind of cut out those long core numbers. Like everybody knows the music of Waltz of the Flowers. Does every 6-year-old want to sit through 6 minutes of Waltz of the Flowers?
Probably not.
No.
Yeah.
So we make those edits of the really long routines that just don't hold attention span as much. We also have quite a robust group of party parents, both in character, name, and personality. They are definitely party parents, but they work during the day on Friday. So that part is not included in the show because they're not going to take off to make their stage debut.
That's fair. When is the last time you performed in this?
Okay. The last time I performed, it's been at the Moss Art Center. So it's been in the past couple of years.
Oh, okay.
I'm guessing it was 2021 because I didn't have to wear a mask. I'm like trying to go through the Rolodex of my brain. One of our performers, a beautiful actually teacher from the studio, had a final exam the day of the field trips.
Oh, okay.
And I had done that role before and I'm about her size. So I threw on the Spanish costume and went out there and my students were like, what the heck is happening?
So then that's a different, when's the last time you planned to perform, I guess?
Probably, I would say 13, 14 years ago. I strapped on my point shoes. That's a real sign it was
13,
a long.
14 years ago.
Yes, I was an adult at the time.
So, I'm not getting into age or anything. That's not so is there a reason now that you've been doing it so long that you don't perform as one of the pieces, that you're not even a small bit part? Or
yes,
okay,
multiple reasons. So at that time, our founder was still the main artistic director of the show. So I did some choreography and some dancing, but I didn't have really a leadership role. So throughout the years, of course, it's changed. I moved into like stage directing and being on the mic backstage and making sure all the sets got to the right spot at the right time.
Yeah.
And now that's still what I do.
Oh,
so
okay.
I would probably at this point consider myself the like producer of the show.
Right, yeah.
There's just no time to like take
to
your headset off, run out there, dance, and then run back and
put it right back on. No, absolutely.
which I mean is doable, I think, but I don't have it in me anymore.
I've seen people do it. I could not. That's something that I think a lot of people don't necessarily think about or look into, which is the behind the scenes of what's going on during the show. So could you dive into that a little bit and talk to about like, because one, there are hundreds of kids in this thing.
Yes, there are.
When you get everyone on the stage at the end of the show, it spills out almost into the audience. So how much, walk us through, I guess, the typical day of performing.
The day of
day of
performing.
performing.
Wow. Okay. So bless you.
Thank you.
So this will happen Saturday, December 14th. We'll be able to get into the venue. Usually we work it out with the Moss Art Center staff that we can get into the lobby at like 10 a.m. Then we have access to the backstage area at 11. 10 a.m. We're setting up the Sugar Plum Chape. Yes. So.
I've not seen this at all. Like I've seen it like on the distance and there are people and every time I've been like, they got it. I'm not going to.
They do got it. I have an awesome team of parent volunteers. So part of what they do is we will build bouquets for basically every single person in the show, because even if I didn't get a bouquet, something tells me you would get two. Like, so we have to build enough to sell for everyone in the show for both shows.
Yeah.
So we're out there at like a little mini flower shop putting those together. Then our Sugar Plum Chape is what we call it, but it's like a gift shop. So it's all different themed ornaments that go with the Nutcracker and stockings and actual Nutcrackers and all just sweet trinkets that I gotta tell you, the grandparents love to shop.
Yeah.
They love it. And the cute part is it's like a memory for forever. I always tell people when they're new to the show, I'll like film a little video at my house and show them like all of my, I know that's weird, but like I have a ballerina ornament from all the years I performed. I have Nutcrackers. Like it's more than just a trinket. It truly is connected to the memory of it.
It's a memorable piece and it signifies something that you did and you accomplished.
Especially depending on your character. Like if you, I don't know, if you're the Rat King, actually having that, you're like, that was my favorite year. It was so fun, or whatever the case may be. So that's
I
how
want to
the
see
morning
somebody
starts.
now with a tree that has every single character. They just work their way through the show.
So this year we always do Fashion for Evergreens at the Inn at Virginia Tech, which is the like Christmas tree decorating competition. And this year we're going to do the Land of the Sweets, which is supposed to represent all the different countries that are represented. And most people do like a candy version of that, but I'm really excited. This year we're going to try to like actually honor all these different countries. Cool. So go check it out, Inn at Virginia Tech. Okay. Back to the day of the show.
Right.
So we get the Sugar Plum Chape, not all the way set up, but it's starting to get set up. Then backstage opens. So my staff and myself will make sure that all of the props are in show order, accounted for, ready to go. This year, we're going to check the batteries on the fake candles before the show starts instead of right before the angels need them, because last time we had some issues with that. And not everyone's little candle was sparkling. It was sad. So we need to make sure that goes better this year. That will probably be someone's specific task.
You're the batteries in the candles, nothing else.
It's essential. So we get all the props set up, check the drops, get everything set on stage. The dancers start to show up. The older ones need that time to warm up and make sure they're like actually ready to go and can safely execute things. They might review some choreography. Our younger ones, we get them set up in the dressing rooms with all of their non-messy, that's the most important part, non-messy snacks, crafts, games. I feel very fortunate. We have a lot of volunteers that are school teachers.
Oh, yeah.
And so they're like, you'll open that dressing room door and they're like sitting doing circle time. You're like, oh, this is beautiful and amazing. So
that's awesome. Yeah. But also in my internal piece, I can hear my costume design professor in college, who is such a stickler about no eating in costume. Yes. And so I'm just imagining those pieces because that can go wrong real fast.
It can. And for us, honestly, it's not the eating, it's the lipstick. It's red lipstick is just like children, for some reason, just it like smears everywhere.
That's fair.
Just
see, I flash back to a production I did in college where our lead had M&Ms in his pocket of a linen suit, and he was like pulling them out and putting them in his mouth as the professor walked around the corner. They made eye contact, and he was just like backing back up into the dressing room.
Yeah, that'll get you on the naughty list for sure.
A little bit.
Okay, so anyway, everybody gets there. We all get ready to go. I'll go out and, thank the audience, thank our sponsors, and then the show starts. It's pure chaos. No, it's really not, actually. I think it's a pretty well-oiled machine.
Yeah. Controlled chaos machine.
Yes. Yeah. A multitude of reasons. I've mentioned, like, our volunteers are amazing. My staff members are amazing. And then the Moss Art Center staff is like, the fact that we have that facility in Blacksburg is amazing for audience members and people that want to put on shows. They're just so easy to work with. And basically anything you can think of, they're just like, yes, we can handle that. A couple of years ago, we had a little prop that, I don't know, some kid said it like hurt her knee, she ran into it. And the next time I turned around, they had covered the entire thing with foam to make sure that no one hit their knee on it. I was like, that's just above and beyond kindness. So I feel lucky.
I, as someone who sat in the booth with those people during last year's show, they're on it, they're constant, they're consistent. I do think there's the benefit of, like you said, there are a lot of people who have not seen the Nutcracker, but if you're in the world of production, you have worked in Nutcracker, and it's not like...
What do you mean?
I know, yeah. It's not like one of the biggest performed pieces or anything. I think I've done 6 in my lifetime.
Okay.
Different performances. But so once you've started getting into that, it's not like the music's changing. It's not like those... So you do have that consistent aspect that it's easier, I think, than... I'm going to use Mary Poppins as an example. Live theater, no matter what, something can go wrong, something can happen. But when you're on a CD track, there's only so much that can go wrong or happen before you're like, all right, we're going to hold and restart.
We're not going to do that.
Yeah, no holding. I'm just pulling people off the stage.
No holding. But yes, you're right. It's pre-recorded music is the way we do it. I know that not everyone does, but just for ease of rehearsals and the show. And yes, everyone kind of, it's funny. The first time we come into the theater for the year, of course, it's people that work at the Moss have been there for longer. It's not one of those like transient student positions. Right. So we're like, it's the holiday season again. We're all excited to see each other. The music starts playing and we're like, oh yeah, last year the tree, like we want more lights on the tree on this part. And we just can continuously improve because it is something that's in our memory and already known instead of brand new. As I'm sure you would say over your 6 Nutcrackers, everyone is a little bit different. Yeah. And like our show is different year to year, but not that much.
Right. Yeah. For the largest part, I think with Nutcracker is, like you said, even if it's not CD, if it's live music, it's the same. It's been the same for a very long time.
Like the tempo could be different, but
yeah, exactly.
You still know the tune.
Yeah. So I think it's one of those things that, like you said, when people have that in their conscious, they're able to actually like work and improve and continue. This is fun for me because it's one that I get to watch. There was one in college that I never watched, and it's because I was running the show and I ran lights, sound, and projection.
Just a few things.
Yeah.
Oh
So
my gosh.
I was actually watching I was watching the computer that had the counter clock for the music, and then I had a cue sheet that was timed to specific timings in that. So I was just watching those going, all right, button here, button here, button here. So now I get to sit and watch, and that's awesome. I love not having to do this.
No, I would say that's honestly, since we moved to this venue, my job, I say I'm on the headset, and yes, I am, but the amount that I have to stress about it has been so greatly reduced, just because everyone's so professional and there's enough people to actually get everything done. Or even just, so when we were at Burris Hall, it's not built to do productions, really. It's built as like a lecture hall. Beautiful, just not built for that.
Right, yeah.
So there weren't enough battens up at the there weren't enough poles up at the top to hang all of our drops. So some of the scene changes, we had to fly them down, untie all the way down the row, and then fly it back up like within 30 seconds before the curtain opened again. So now, not like just that one change completely like, that part's easy relatively.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the technology available at the Moss Center is incredible.
Awesome.
I've personally never worked with like the fly rail like they've got. The one that I worked with in college was the old hemp rope system where you tied it off like you were on a boat, and it was just full on strength pulling. Yeah, so I can imagine even that alone is just like, great, let's go.
We still do that at our like recitals and other not at the Moss Art Center. My arms from opening and closing the curtain, I'm like, oh yeah. It's exhausting.
There's some heavy things. Yeah. Yes. I remember I had one performance of, oh goodness, what's it called? I'm thinking Suddenly Seymour and all of those.
Little Shop of
Little
Horrors.
Shop, thank you.
You're welcome.
That we had the storefront that flew in and out between inside-outside scenes. And there was one day I was like, man, this feels different. And so I just happened to grab the rope, and I'm glad I did because it came untied from its like original hold position. So it was kind of like crooked, and the stage manager came over the headset and was like, hey, what's going on? This isn't supposed to be there. It's not supposed to be that. And I basically had to call, I was up in the fly system. I had to call down to the stage assistant stage manager and be like, hey, can you tell them that we're not flying this anymore during the show? Because I had to hold it.
Oh my gosh.
For like until intermission. Got the muscles, not anymore, but yeah.
That's one of the things that I think people don't know about any sort of theater, ballet, dance production is how much physical activity is involved. You're asking backstage. It's like literally running around, lifting heavy things, like
and doing it quietly.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to be stealthy at the same time.
Like if you hit your toe, there's no it's
exactly.
It hurt.
Or if you get upset about the candles not being lit, you can't scream, what the heck? You have to.
You're just like miming.
Silent mime, yeah.
But I that's to me, that's one of my biggest loves of anything performing arts is how much goes on behind the scenes, because I liken it to a duck.
Okay.
From the audience perspective, everything's calm, everything's normal. On the duck on the surface is calm, normal, but if you were to look under the surface, it's just furious paddling.
Yes. Yeah, that's accurate.
So, yeah. Well, all right. So we've talked about behind the scenes, all the things that go into this. You talked about the sponsorship and things this year. What makes it different this year? And what was kind of the thought that went into that?
So we totally stole this idea.
Cool.
You know, it just...
If it works, it's not stealing, as long as you credit someone.
Okay, so from Psy Dance in Williamsburg is where we stole this.
Awesome.
Thank you very much. One of our teachers danced there growing up, so she has lived through it, and we already got an example of how it would work. So the biggest thing that's new or different is... Well, one, that we're advertising or saying that through your sponsorship, showing directly what it goes to instead of just like, woohoo, give us money and it's a mystery.
Yeah.
It's very clear, like, it costs this much for this many students to come to the show. If you pay this much money, that's an entire grade level that can come for free. Like, so it's very obvious. And, people want to help our local schools. So that's the first thing that I think is a huge difference, is just being very clear with what the sponsorships go to. But the other more fun artistic part is we are doing these business spotlight photo shoots. And the cute idea that, like, what made me want to bring it here to this area, this other studio in Williamsburg, there's a place called the Cheese Shop. I don't know if you're familiar, but they do this amazing photo shoot with all of the little mice and rats in the cheese shop. So the characters from the show are in their costumes. They go to the place of business and interact with the products. So that's the basic concept or goal. And we are working through right now, which there's more space available for more people. All of our different sponsors, of which character like suits them the best. So we can go do a photo shoot at their business. That's so like, cool. Oh my gosh, it's going to be so fun. So right now our biggest sponsor is Ed and Ethel's. I think everyone around here is pretty familiar with Brooke and Chase.
Yeah, they've had recent episodes.
Yes. So, I mean, what better to appeal to all of our audience members that love theater and art and beauty that goes along with a jewelry store, of course. So Christina Rose Photography, who I think most of us also know, is doing these. She is a branding specialist. So we are going over to their shop, and I'll throw out another name you might know. Jessica Shelburne is our character that's going. So she's going to be in her costume. She's Dewdrop, which is like I don't know. If you don't know the show very well, this would be hard to explain. She's like one of the queen stars of the show, which fits her, of course. So she's going to go over to Ed and Ethel's. Christina's going to meet us over there, and we're going to take pictures with their products and in their space, showcasing them. So then we'll include those, on our social media, our website, and our program and things like that. But I'm really excited about that part.
That's really cool.
It's going to be so fun. First of all, just fun. You get to also be really creative. I can't wait to see what we come up with, because it'll be like the creativity of the business owner or manager or whoever is there that day, combined with the character, combined with the photographer and the like choreographer. So it's just, I mean, it'll be so many ideas.
And with all of this, it's something that, because I'm not saying that's something someone couldn't do on their own, but when you're having to plan all of those parts, it becomes really unmanageable really fast. Having everything ready and accessible to you from a marketing perspective, it's genius, because one, you got a time of year, you got stuff that's going on. I don't know how y'all are doing the contracts and everything for use, but if it's something where they walk out of it with these pictures, even next year around, when it's around time, they can be like, hey,
and like we have the built-in characters. Clearly they're going to want to do it instead of like doing a model call. You don't have to do that. We have all the costumes already. So it's just a matter of picking a time that works for everyone.
Right. Which in itself is...
That's challenging.
But
at this time of year, it's very challenging.
What, you think the fall is busy in Blacksburg and beyond?
Not at all. But yeah, it'll be really fun. I'm very, very excited for that.
Awesome. Yeah. And then when you get wrapped up with Nutcracker and everything, how does that kind of turnover process look like? Like, when do you start looking at next year's? When do you start building these things for next year?
That's kind of scary. So usually we'll actually do a little bit of an encore performance after the main show. We are fortunate enough that we get booked off fairly often with Virginia Tech Athletics at like a basketball game. So usually we'll do a little extra holiday thing that's just fun, and we break the characters, and it's like on family day or something like that when school's out. So we get one last little fun time before it has to end. And then my team of volunteers has to make sure we've recalled all of the costumes, which there are hundreds and hundreds of costume pieces. So that is like, that's a massive task in itself.
Yeah, where do y'all store this?
Fortunately for us, we have a storage facility, shares our business. Like our building is dance on one side and storage units on the other.
Awesome.
So yeah, we're very lucky. It's more than one storage unit worth of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Because we also have to store all of our props. Like we have a massive sleigh that you and I can both sit in.
And
yeah. So there's lots of stuff that has to get reorganized. And then it's a little bit of a break.
Right.
A lot of our performers do participate with dance tech, but also do things like, you know, the spring musical at their own respective school. So springtime is pretty slow for us. But then right at the beginning of the summer is when we like start back up with planning, you know, doing casting calls, audition type of things, reaching out to the other groups that we want to collaborate with. So that's one of the things that I love about Blacksburg Ballet is it's not just like current dance students from our teachers, but, you know, we work with groups at Virginia Tech, Radford, New River. We have Blacksburg Chinese School comes and performs the Chinese.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Because that's another pretty complicated thing in the ballet world is how you represent other cultures. So that's one of our big goals is to actually bring in people from other cultures and let them represent themselves and make sure that we're doing it respectfully and like honoring instead of cultural appropriationing.
Yeah. I mean, in theater and performance world, that can go real sideways real fast.
It can, which that's, I think if you look back at the Nutcrackers of 50 bajillion years ago, you'll see there's been a lot of changes over the past 20, 30 years, which is cool. I mean, I like seeing that our community is more aware of some things that they've done that have been inappropriate or just thoughtless, which is usually what it is. It's just it's not intentionally rude. It's just
very rarely is it done with malice as much as it's done just out of ignorance and not knowing. I can point back to South Pacific done with not a single person of Asian descent in the cast, and you're like, shouldn't have happened.
Yes.
Yep.
So that's one of the things we have to be really intentional about reaching out to people way in advance to get it on their calendars. Because like for me, I know every winter it is the Nutcracker. It's like Moss Art Center usually books with us in like March, April. So it's already all of my ballet students, it's already on their calendar. You know, they're all just excited to find out which role they get. But for other people, it's not their number one priority. I don't know why, but we have to build it into their calendar.
Goodness. So is the cast, I know you've got a lot. As the time of recording this, it's been just a couple of weeks since you had the open casting call. How does that look like for you? Is it one of those at times you're like, well, you're going to be character number 42 because we don't have something for it? Or is it a lot of doubling and things like that?
Okay. No one is double cast.
Okay.
So our two shows, like everybody gets to do both of them. So in theory, they should be identical. Clearly it's live, so that's absolutely not going to happen. But you get two chances. That way, whatever your family can divide and conquer or whatever they need to do to be able to come watch you. And
Mom
also
saw him at the morning performance, and
Well, you know, I don't know if you have like a baby sister at home that can't sit through the show. Do whatever you need to do.
Yeah.
So yes, everyone has at least one role. A lot of people have multiple roles depending on their skill set, because one of the things that we do is we try to incorporate things that are not just ballet, because we like to make it interesting for the audience. So there's gymnastics, there's tap, there's jazz, clearly I said like the Chinese school performs. There's more like flamenco style for other, for Spanish. So multiple people have multiple roles, but for the open casting or audition, we'll just look at everyone who's interested and what their skill set is, and then pair them up maybe into a role. So like this year, instead of a Spanish soloist, we have a Spanish duet because they just are a really good fit, like performing together. And then we have slightly younger dancers that are the core dancing with them. Now, sometimes there are characters that we just come up with.
Yeah.
And I should say it's not me as much as I think a lot of people know our ballet director is Nina Kempick. So I would say I'm the producer of the show. She's the director of the show. She makes those artistic decisions. I do the fun things like running backdrops and paying the bills.
Yeah.
Also,
That's
I
also
feel
like,
like I'm getting a lot accomplished, but she's like the creative force.
Right.
And we have 4 or 5 other choreographers that are also on the team. So, we like this year, a fun, exciting thing that came up is a lot of brothers decided they wanted to be part of the show this year. They want to be in the battle scene because why wouldn't you?
Of course, yeah.
So that's part of our like discussion as the artistic team. Okay, how can we make sure that they get enough stage time for it to be worth their while? Like no one wants to walk out for one thing and like
You're
10
done.
seconds and that was the end. No one wants to sit through an entire show waiting for the 10 seconds of their 5-year-old and then that was it.
Right.
Like just to be honest. Yeah. So we have done so many different things with the battle scene. That's always one where there's a lot of music, so it can get a little bit boring. So we're always like, sure, if we want to create an extra character that gets a special part in this and it's like a comedic moment or something like that, why not?
Yeah.
Or so last year, one of the things where we had to pull it out of the thin air. I guess this isn't really a surprise because it happens every year, but the Hokey Bird is a present that comes out in the middle of the show. And our show is always during not only exam time, but also it's like the beginning of basketball season and ACC tournament time. So like just there's a lot of factors where sometimes the Hokey Bird is unavailable.
Yeah.
He is otherwise committed. Fortunately, the whole story is for one of our 4 shows, the Hokey Bird was unavailable. We're like, well, we can't just like leave nothing happening.
Right, yeah.
That's so awkward. Especially if everyone, like, you saw the one yesterday and he came out and then you're like, I can't wait for my favorite part. And it just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, this brother has been in the show like 5 times. Clearly you can't like rent a Hokey Bird costume. That's not a thing.
Right.
But we called up Aztec Rental and we got a Grinch costume. Sure, whatever. Like it entertains the audience. It brought a smile to people's faces. So he got to go be the Grinch. And then when the Hokey Bird came back, he got to the Grinch and the Hokey Bird became friends.
Yeah.
So it worked out. But there's always something like that keeps you on your toes, but it's really fun. Like it's not bad stress. It's good stress.
Yeah. I mean, it is what you make it. Yeah. Like it could easily, I mean, with that same scenario, if someone goes with the wrong mindset or attitude, that becomes catastrophic.
Yeah, it's like the end of the world.
Right. But it's also take a little time. It's the Nutcracker. We're not,
it's not life or death. I get it.
Right. Yeah. You're also not like performing the Nutcracker, like, at the White House on live TV.
Listen, prima ballerinas fall. Okay. It's true.
That's true. You're right.
So things happen.
Yeah, things are going to happen no matter what they are. That's live performance. It just is.
But we have a lot of fun with just random things like that of how we can incorporate new different people. I was mentioning the party parents. One of my favorite things is when people look in the program or look at our shirts and read the names and they're like, what the? They're like, that's my OChem professor. I'm like, yes, it is. And they are a star of the Nutcracker.
That's fun.
So that brings me a lot of joy too. Just, we are a nonprofit that's part of this community. So it's about bringing people together in the community. So I like those connections as well or like the person that, I don't know, serves you your hot dogs at Sam's hot dog stand. You're like, wait, I know you. Like,
you did the Nutcracker.
Yeah. So I like that part of it.
Well, tell everyone how they can get involved with Blacksburg Ballet, where they can find and follow you for information, all of that stuff.
Okay, so our email address is blacksburgballet@gmail.com. We're on Facebook and Instagram at Blacksburg Ballet. there wasn't a lot of competition there,
Yep.
so we didn't have to do too much work to get what we needed. The biggest thing we're always looking for are more people that want to be party parents. So if you're interested in performing, I definitely have opportunities for that. Of course, we have opportunities for people that want to take advantage of those free field trips. We have business sponsorship opportunities still available as well. And then last but not least, just come see the real shows. So tickets to artcenter.vt.edu is the place to get them. You just scroll on down and there's the 2 separate links, matinee show, evening show. I like people to know that it's like traditional with a local twist. And when I come out at the beginning of the show, I will very clearly state that this is not a golf clap, like awkward proper situation. Yeah. Like, we want people to celebrate those people they know, things that they enjoy. So if you think it's too stuffy for you or too boring when you think of going to the ballet, I would challenge people that that's not the case at all, and they just need to come check it out.
No one's got their viewing goggles or anything like that. There's not a single top hat in the audience.
Only on the stage.
Only on the stage.
I think that's just the biggest thing I want people to know. There's opportunities for literally anyone to be involved, but also it's not boring.
Right, yeah. Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you for being here. Any final parting thoughts you want to leave anyone with? Any Grinches or Hokies, you know?
Well, of course, our Hokey Bird's going to be back this year, but no Grinches. I don't know. The arts just bring so much joy, not only to the people performing them, but to the people in the audience, to the people who's maybe aren't even watching the show. They're the ones in the dressing rooms monitoring the dancers. It's still a memory that's created. And you can't put a price on the feeling that comes with the arts. So I encourage people to, even if they themselves don't feel comfortable performing, partaking and viewing, because it like makes a huge difference in your joy and happiness.
Yeah. See, I may not be a dancer, but I'll happily be Christmas tree number 4 standing in the...
We might need that. I'll let you know.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you, everybody, for listening in. We'll be back next week with another episode. In the meantime, go out, invest, connect, engage, and prosper.